Welcome to Chillin' with Ice with me, Lori Fetrick, or most of you know me as Ice from the American Gladiators. Thank you for joining me on this podcast where we're going to dive in and go behind the scenes on the #1 hit iconic show of the 90s. It's time to get up close and personal on what drove us to be gladiators, what challenges we faced, and how we overcame to reach all of our goals. I know in this first season, inquiring minds want to know, was there drama, fights, hookups? Are we all still friends? What did we do in our personal lives, and how are we staying in such good shape years later? Well, stay right here and let's get into Chillin' with Ice. Before we dive into our incredible episode today, I want to let you know that this is a self-funded podcast and I would love your support. For the cost of a cup of coffee a month, you can donate to my Patreon page, and that would make all the difference in the world. For the small donation, you will get back so much in rewards. Like you can watch all of my podcasts on video. I will have exclusive content like behind the scenes footage, a private Facebook group where you can interact with me directly and other VIP fans, a monthly Q&A, direct shout outs and follows from me to you on your social media, and so much more. Find me on Patreon at Chillin' with Ice or click the link in the show notes now. Okay, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chillin' with Ice, and today, this episode, for those of you who don't know my backstory before Gladiators, I was an actual bodybuilder, and I was competing for about 5 to 6 years in that, about that zone right there. And if I had a friend in my back pocket, like my next guest, who knows where my career would have went. I am so happy to introduce 8-time Miss Olympia and host of FemFlex Friday, Lenda Murray. Woo! Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. Really looking forward to this conversation with you, Lori.
Linda, I'm
looking forward to it.
I am so excited. Like I said before we got rolling here, I said I'm going to be the fangirl and I'm going to geek out on some of these questions.
Yeah.
So just bear with me a little bit. And also for, some of my audience, let's go and tell them about you and what you're up to and all that kind of fun stuff. And I have so many questions. You're just going to laugh. You're going to go, oh my God, I've been asked these questions, but they've been 15 years ago.
Yeah. No, it just gets better and better. You know what I mean? Like just the fact that we're here, right? Because we go way, way back.
Yes.
I mean, competing and what it was like to be a woman wanting muscle and not afraid to be muscular. That's like huge. So anytime when I saw you, for me, it was just really cool to see you on that main stage for the world to see muscular women. So you represented us. You did it, girl.
Oh, thank you.
That was huge.
I'm gonna tell a quick story here, which was really cool, and that was, I was in my back garage and I was working, and my phone rang. And I looked at my phone. I didn't recognize the number, and usually I do not answer those, but for some reason I answered this one. And it was so cute and so funny at the same time because the woman on the other end was Linda, and she goes really quickly, she goes, "Hi, this is Lenda Murray, Miss Olympia." And she started getting all this out, and I started laughing for a moment. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, are you serious? This is really seriously Lenda Murray calling me? And I just went, all of a sudden, I kind of stopped her for a moment. And I was, Linda, I know exactly who you are.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I was
know, right,
so
girl? I had
happy.
to get it out real quick. Because I was just like, I want you on the show. And it was so cool that you accepted. And yeah, so we're fans of each other. Really.
Exactly. And your show is so amazing. And that's the FemFlex Friday. We're going to get into that also of how you got there and everything. But let's go back. I know that you started I was reading your backstory and a cheerleader and going into the Dallas, tryouts for cheerleaders. My question was, now Did you do sports before you were doing cheerleading and stuff like that? I mean, what was
Yeah.
your go-to? What was your go-to sport?
Yeah. I mean, track and field, like I love to run. I recognized like really early on as a kid in elementary that I was really fast. And born and raised in Detroit, and I was in the hood in Detroit.
Okay.
When Detroit was like known back then as the murder capital
Hmm.
of the
Wow.
US, I guess you want to say. But I was raised up in that, even though like my mom and dad did a great job. We had a beautiful, home and all that. But I had to run. Like I knew,
Like from
and I
your
was
home to the
faster,
store?
right? Like from school to right, like it was just that kind of situation, that type of environment.
Hmm.
And as a woman, um, I could beat a lot of the guys.
There you
So that
go.
was my first, like, I'm going to say, as far as athletics,
Okay.
that's where I learned. Yeah. And then I ran through high school. I didn't run in college. I was a cheerleader in college because I was good, but I wasn't trained. I wasn't a trained athlete.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably where it started. For me, that was my first love is running.
Okay. That's that's amazing. I didn't really realize that. And then you kind of went from there, you went into cheerleading. And I read a story about I know that they wanted you to slender down and you were like,
Yes.
went into the weight room. And if
Yes.
anything, I mean, I remember the first time I went into a weight room, everybody was like, "Oh my God, you have the genetics, to do bodybuilding."
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So yeah, I you know, wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader because that was the thing that we saw,
mhm,
I saw on in the 70s. And I graduated from Western Michigan University in I started in 1980 and graduated in 1984. So that was the plan. I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. I actually did try out for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And before I actually tried out for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, this new football organization came along called the USFL. And they're back now. You can see them on they're back.
mhm.
So their season's very different from the NFL. So Michigan Panthers, there was this new league, and they said, "Hey, my girlfriend was like, I know you say you want to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, but there's this new organization, the USFL. They're having cheerleading tryouts. Why don't you do this before you go and do the whole Dallas Cowboy thing?" And I did, and I made the Michigan Panthers cheerleading team. So I was on there for their first USFL championships, and we had some heavy hitters as far as stole some of those athletes from the NFL and they played in the USFL. So,
Okay.
and what happened is that when I went off and tried it for Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, because it was two different seasons, the USFL was in the spring, the NFL is the fall, there was a conflict. And so the coach said, listen, um, we're going to allow you to come back the next year and resume where you left off at because I did make that 45 girls. She says, but because of the conflict with the USFL, you cannot participate in the USFL when you come back. And she said, by the way, you need to lose some weight. Meaning, meaning now for me that was strange because I was in great shape,
Oh, I
right? And I'm
bet.
like, lose some weight. And basically what she was saying to me is, but she didn't know what she was quite saying at the time, is that I had this really athletic look,
Mhm.
you know. I had the quadriceps and the hamstrings, and I had where you could see this my shoulder development. I had abdominals, and when you look at a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, you're not seeing a six pack, you're 8 pack. You're not seeing
It's like looking at a
shoulders and
Barbie doll.
triceps. Yes, looks just like a Barbie doll.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So, and so when I go back to the gym and I tell my bodybuilding friends, because I'm at Woodward Powerhouse, and they say, listen, that's ridiculous, Linda. You have great genetics. There's nothing broken. You do not need to lose weight. You need to really consider being a bodybuilder and competing. And it did not take very long. I'm going to say a couple months. I, decided to let go of hang up the pom poms and start picking up dumbbells. And quickly, my body responded to the weight training,
Oh,
and I was on my way.
I can totally relate to that. It's really cool. This episode's actually sponsored by icet-shirts.com, and you can get your OG Gladiator hat. You can get your OG t-shirt. You can get Chillin' with Ice hats, Chillin' with Ice t-shirts. I have all kinds of fun stuff on it. So go to icet-shirts.com today. How long did it take you to train and go into your very first competition?
Uh, Gosh, it didn't take long. I'm going to tell you, my first competition, within that year,
Okay.
because what I recognize is I said, well, I'm used to performing in
Mm-hmm.
front of people, and that's what bodybuilders do up on stage. I was kind of weird about putting on a bikini and standing up there. I wasn't feeling that really.
Yeah, I believe it. That's kind of, I think,
Yeah, that
everybody's
was just
first
kind of
kind of
weird,
like, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I saw the posing and I said, well, I can do that. And the part that I had a challenge with was the diet, but I would say within that year, when I
Okay.
made my mind up to do it, I competed in my first competition. I competed in the Miss Michigan and I placed fourth. It took me 4 years before I actually won the Michigan State title. I placed fourth the first year, placed third the second year, placed third again the third year, and then finally that fourth year, I won the Michigan State title. And from that point on, every competition I competed in, I won. I had to learn that diet. I did not understand dieting to maintain muscle and lose body fat in the sculpting of that whole process. So once I got that, I was on.
See,
It was
that's
on.
that was going to be one of my questions is what was the biggest challenge for you? Training, diet, mental? I mean, that whole going
Mhm.
through like your whole Miss Olympia, once you became
Yeah.
Miss Olympia. I mean, what was the most challenging, would you say? Was it the dieting still?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the most challenging part of and you know this too, Lori, from especially during that time in the 80s and early 90s. Um the diet, once you get the diet, I mean, and you have the discipline, the willpower, you can get through it. But you have those athletes that don't have the ability to connect the body and the mind. And it takes a lot of power, a lot of mental strength to eat a certain way and wait for what you're doing eating wise, nutrition wise, to show up on your physique. It doesn't always show up the way you think it should show up or where it's going to show up. And so you almost always feel like you're not ready. It's not like with performance, if you're running the 100-yard dash and you're doing it in 10 seconds and your time. But, with what we do, it was about um, continuing regardless of where you lost the weight or what was happening on your physique to follow through and put on that bikini and step on that stage and present that physique. I
When
think, yeah.
I was going to say, when you were competing at the highest level, when you stepped on that stage, did you always feel like you were 100% ready, or did you always kind of had that, "Oh, if I just had another week or
Yeah.
two"?
Yeah. I always had that if I only had another week. It's probably only been a few of my Olympias where I felt complete, like
Mm-hmm.
100% positively ready. And I think it's just that it's so many moving pieces through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because every single Olympia or competition, um, you may use the exact same training program. You may have the exact diet, nutrition, but there's a different set of circumstances going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different kind of stress, which makes for a different outcome.
That I never thought of it that way. And you're absolutely
Mhm.
100% right, because
Yeah.
1 year makes a huge difference from physical, hormonal, stress, you name it. And and you're absolutely right. The outcome is going to be a little bit different every single time. So
Mhm. Every single
you have to
time.
constantly adjust, I would imagine, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Constantly adjust. And when you're the champion and when you're holding that title, you have no choice
Mm-hmm.
but to show up,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
I
So
have
that was a lot.
I have a question for you, because this was like one of my questions. I saw the timelines. I was looking at the timelines, and you were coming up the ranks, and it's like right before you won the Miss Olympia is when Corey retired. Okay.
Uh,
Here's my question. I thought as I was reading this, I was like, were you gunning for Corey? And you were like, that's it, man. She's the one I want to beat. And then all of a sudden
uh-huh.
she retired. Did you go, are you serious? I
Oh
just wanted
gosh.
to beat you so bad.
Oh my goodness. You know what though? Honestly, gosh, I don't think I ever thought like I want to beat Corey Everson because honestly, things just can't really happen so fast. The way I when I won the North American, and here's what also happened. She was like my idol.
Okay.
Corey was like on television. She was on covers of the magazine, and it was even hard to wrap my mind when I won the Olympia the
Mm-hmm.
first time. I was like, so I just won the same title that Corey Everson, the person that I've been like, you know,
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna say, yeah,
have been
it
so
was
kind of,
challenging.
yeah, in your head, you know.
In my head. It was challenging. And I had to also like come to really be at peace and love me. I loved me, but you don't really know, like, because everything I was doing for the Olympia was all controlled. It was in my control. It was in my world. And
Mm-hmm.
then you win the Olympia, and then suddenly everybody cares, and everybody's trying to tell you how to train, how to diet, how to wear your hair. And why did you wear those every
I
that
totally hear you.
outfit? Yes, I heard some of everything. And so that really changed a lot of really like because everybody had an opinion,
Oh, I bet.
you know.
So did you also have like a coach for training, a coach for diet, a coach for posing, or did you have like one solid coach?
I'm gonna say that I really because back then having coaches was not as popular. It wasn't as popular as it is now. But our coaches that we had, they were basically the fellow gym members, people who had experience. So, for example, Ron Love, he was a professional, the first professional pro out of Detroit, and he's the one that suggested that I compete because I had the genetics to do so. So he really helped me a lot, like with my diet and understanding weight training. And it was just those fellow people in the gym that trained hard.
Mm-hmm.
They may not even had the courage or the willpower to go through the diet or the courage to step on stage, but they trained hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had those types of trainers, I'm going to say.
So
Yeah.
when you were coming up then, and I completely relate to that, by the way, because, but the reason I ask that question is because it's like, I remember when I was training in the gym and I was dieting and I was competing, I always thought in my head, I'm like, God, if I just had that one person that had the magic formula,
Mhm. Uh-huh. Yeah.
then who knows where my career would have been? Because you're always thinking that there's like a
Mhm.
secret or some kind of
Yeah.
magic formula to dieting and training.
Uh-huh.
Because Linda, I mean, honestly, the picture that I put up on my Instagram for today's podcast, your body's flawless. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
is literally, I mean, when I was showing people, I was like, look who I get to interview. And I was like, so
Uh-huh.
excited, you know?
Oh,
And they were just like, oh my God, her body's just phenomenal. It's like every single muscle was perfectly like
yeah.
symmetrical, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah,
From probably
yeah.
your big toe all the way to the top of your
Oh
head.
gosh, yeah. That's sweet. That's great. Yeah. You
But
know what? And yeah, and it was that kind of stuff too that makes you a little bit mad toward the end, meaning like crazy.
mhm,
Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you have to become so obsessed
yes,
with your body and your training and eating and like getting a tan lines in the wrong place. You wanted
yes,
everything. You sleep a certain way, wearing clothes that are tight, like so that when you're going stepping on stage, you don't have like rubber lines from the belt,
oh
tight
yeah.
belt you had
It
on this.
it
It was a unique obsession. And I always really loved the process of changing the physique all the way through. But then I'm gonna say when I was 2 weeks out, I just wanted relief. I
mhm,
wanted to walk past the mirror and not feel like every moment I had to look in the mirror or the sun. Oh, this is great lighting. Let me,
mhm.
what is, it was kind of crazy, but that's what it takes. That's what it took.
And that's exactly what I wanted to hear because you're absolutely right. You
Hmm.
become it's more than eat, sleep, drink, bodybuilding. It is 100% you become obsessed with everything
Hmm.
around you in your environment
Hmm.
and that's what I wanted to know and it's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Obsessed.
Obsessed is the word. So
Yeah. Obsessed. Yeah.
this is where the geeky kind of questions come into play because I know that like even when I was in the gym and people are like, oh my God, ask her this. Oh my God, ask her that. It's kind of
Uh-huh.
funny.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, okay, so I mean, when you were at your peak when you were doing Miss Olympia, it's like
Mhm.
for a physique like yours, I mean, how many did you count calories? Did you do micros? Did you do what did you
Mhm.
do back then? Was it counting
Oh
calories? Were
yeah.
you counting your proteins or were you doing it all?
I was doing it all. Yeah, I was doing it all, weighing food. Um, yeah, weighed a lot of food, a lot of chicken to the point where you can eyeball your protein and your
Yeah.
complex carbs. You know that's too much, or
Hmm.
you know, and also journaling, keeping records of what I ate. And so I was probably, I would say my calorie intake was always like 2,000, like 1,500 to 2,000, but it was like 2,000 calories per day. But when I started to get really good,
Hmm.
I learned I could eat, and so I would eat more calories. We're talking 2,500 calories per day, sometimes 3,000. So I'm going to
Hmm.
say pretty consistent. It was 2,500. And like if I carved up and I ate more carbs, which I would definitely do that, like give myself that break
Hmm.
where I would like cheat on more carbs, it would be 3,000. But understand, I was doing cardio twice a day.
That's what I was gonna, my next question.
Twice a day, 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes a night. At night, I'd eat my last meal, then I'd do 45 minutes of cardio. I could not eat again until that next morning when I did my first session of cardio, then I could have my first meal. So, yeah, it was so 2,000, 3,000 calories. And when you think about it, you're going to easily burn 1,000 of them. Yeah, but I learned to eat and to eat I was probably 150 grams of carbs. That was a really good day. 150 grams of carbs per day.
Hmm.
Um,
What about your protein?
my protein, I always did my protein like based on 1.5 pounds. So like I would go uh grams of carbs. Let me think. I was
So that's kind
probably,
of like the rule of
yeah,
thumb that we all kind of
yeah.
still know and kind of go by in a
Yep.
way.
Yep.
So
That's what I did use per, especially if you're active, you can eat more, right? Especially if you're weight training. So,
so is there anything you know now that you wish you knew back then?
oh yeah, let's see.
You're like,
Um,
where's my
yeah,
list?
yeah. Oh gosh. I think honestly, I did a damn pretty good job of with each Olympia. Some things I'm glad I didn't know.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you like, and I think it's coming from a point of just being the champion. Like, so my first Olympia, you can see like this evolution of different types of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I my third, fourth, and fifth Olympia, because it did go by fast. That's probably something that like you don't know, you don't realize how quickly time goes by, but
Mm-hmm.
you can get caught up. I got caught up, and I think it's like the normal, especially for women during that time. I got caught up in being Ms. Olympia and trying to represent the title and wanting to be on the cover of the magazine and wanting because you think that that's a given. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you win the Olympia, you're going to be on the cover of Flex magazine or on cover of Muscle and Fitness, or you're going to get these contracts. And it doesn't necessarily equal that
Hmm.
because I was I was naive. Like the first Miss Olympia, Lenda Murray, you see, I was naive to the fact that I was part of a business.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're part of a business and you're coming from this place of being an athlete and just wanting to compete, it did not compute some of the, I'm like, well, Miss Olympia, put me on the cover or just no, it's like he was trying to sell magazines.
Yep. And I was
Eh,
gonna say, were there
yeah.
politics in the whole bodybuilding industry? Once you won Miss Olympia, did all the politics start kind of coming into play?
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I know we
Definitely.
kind of talked a little bit about that when I was in Arizona with you. But I
Hmm.
mean, do you still, how is it today? Because I've been out of the
Hmm.
industry for so long and
Hmm.
competing and everything.
Hmm.
How is it
Yeah.
today, male versus female? Because obviously it's a
Hmm.
very male dominated, industry.
Totally.
So how is that
Yeah.
now today? Is it still kind of the same or is it kind of equaling out or how are
Yeah.
we looking?
I don't think I'm gonna say it's equaling out. I think what's kind of really so cool about it right now is that um being that I work for the owner of the Olympia, Jake Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get to participate in and see everything that happens on this level, preparing for all the athletes to compete at the Olympia. I get to interact with all of the men,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I interact and talk to the men from my past. So I look at my past, I look at those guys, the ones that made 20 times more money than me.
Mm, that's gotta hurt.
And I kind of knew in my mind back then, like I had to stay focused on winning the Olympia and not being angry about not making the money that they made for first place or the contracts that they got as far as sponsors that I didn't get. I did get sponsors. I had good sponsors. I did make good money, but the amount of money that I made in comparison to the Mr. Olympia was night and day.
Is it still that
Is
way?
it it's still that way. It's still that way.
Why?
It's much
Why?
better. Jake has made it much, much better. He really has. He's made it much better. But I think it's just, gosh, why?
I know. Has anybody asked that question?
I
Why?
know. No, I know. I think, honest to God, I just hate to be, it's just something about being, a man that they just don't get. Like, I'm serious because I see them now and they'll come up and I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, dude, like I work in this office. I work with Jake. I'm here. I know what I had to go through to diet,
Hmm.
to be in great shape.
Hmm.
Like a woman, we carry more body fat than you guys.
Hmm.
And a lot of times we would come better. You know, we'd be leaner. Our glutes, for our glutes to even have some rips or some lines in it in comparison,
Oh, that's like
you know,
impossible to get almost.
yes, but it was still one of these things where it's just like they have sometimes permission to be disrespectful
Mm.
or to be like uh ignore,
Hmm.
not
Okay.
see us, not recognize. And it blows me away, you know. I mean, some guys actually think that like when I retired, I won 6 Olympias and I retired for 4 or 5 years. I came back, and then some guy was like, "Oh, you know, a man could never do that." I'm like, "Well, yeah, a man could do that
Hmm.
if you know what I mean." It's
Yeah,
just
it's just
what's
some
good
of
for
them
a
are a
woman
little
if what
ignorant,
you're doing
but
is fruity tooty. And what you're doing is fruity tooty, and it's so you're like, I'm like, no,
you just
dude,
want to
like,
slap them.
yeah, yeah.
All right, here's a fun question. Did you ever have a very the most embarrassing or even embarrassing moment on stage your entire career?
Yeah. Well, as yeah, when I was competing as an amateur, I lost my top came off
No way.
because we didn't have glue. Like we didn't have that glue,
I
all that
know,
fancy stuff they got
right?
now, you know. And remember the suit was like on a string that kind
Yes.
of you could
Hmm.
take the string all the way out and it
Yeah, I
just kind
remember
of went.
that.
Yeah, and they had the pose down, and they said pose down, and I'm posing and posing and posing down, and my top was it had moved. So the whole time I'm posing down, I'm like giving
Oh my
everybody a peep
God.
show
Oh my
or
God.
whatever.
That is, I'm
And I had
laughing.
to,
I'm
and one of the
laughing with
judges,
you.
yeah, and one of the judges had to tell me. They kept, I was like standing up, and they were like, and I'm like,
Like, what? What?
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I
That's
never forget that. And that, to be honest with you, that was the thing that made I was determined to be better.
okay.
And that's what really pushed me because it was so embarrassing, you know. Yeah,
Sometimes those moments are a defining moment.
yeah.
Hey, let's put it this way. I was when I was on Gladiators and we were doing the tour and I was in an arena and there was like 10,000 people and all of a sudden they call my name and I'm in the spotlight. I literally tripped, fell on my face, went out of the spotlight completely.
Wow. Wow.
I was
Oh
like, "Oh
yeah.
my God."
You guys though, being like physical, there's so much that
I
my
know, I
God, I
know. We'll
could
get to
never
that in a
do it.
minute. All right. So let's talk about today for a second. Now, there are so many divisions. It's not
Mm,
just bodybuilding. I mean, obviously, when I got into it, it was just female bodybuilding. And then I think
mhm,
the next division, maybe physique came in, or maybe it was not quite sure what followed that bikini. But now there's
mhm,
physique, bikini, wellness. You could actually name them
mhm,
more so
mhm.
than I.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
now,
Six.
are there six?
There's six divisions for the women. Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Six.
Do you like that there's six divisions, or would
Mhm.
you, if you had to, just good
Uh-huh.
question. If you had to take away two divisions, what divisions would you take away?
If I had to take away two. Wow. Um, I'm gonna say it would be women's physique. And the only reason I say women's physique is, I mean, they're amazing athletes,
Hmm.
but my God, the conditioning of the athletes, they are so like lip ripped to a point of it's a lot to ask a woman for her body to do that.
And it's not, I don't think it's that really healthy, probably.
No. So for me, that's the reason I would say that is
Hmm.
because I think that you have some women that genetically they're gifted where their body can do that.
Hmm.
And usually what I've seen is the women like that, they were always small
Hmm.
and then they put on enough muscle, but they have the muscle and they have that leanness and that rippedness. Where when you have a female that she's trying to get that, let's say she has the genetics, she has the size, she puts on size easy, but you will not like it's not normal for her to have ripped glutes.
Yeah, it's just, it's almost too
Yes, I would
much.
say it would be that one just because it's about health.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's a beautiful sport. I
Right.
mean, beautiful division.
Okay. That makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Is there another
Yeah.
one, or would you just leave it at that?
Initially, I think I would just, yeah, initially I had a problem with bikini when they first started bikini and they had to do that pose and turn around and then like show
Okay.
their butt.
Oh my God, I was going to ask you about that. I
I
was
remember I
just,
was like,
okay, I was going to ask
what?
you about that. Why? I would love
From
to see the men do that.
Yeah, that was like probably for me, I was like, what? Like,
I mean, it's
yeah,
like
because
bend over and
we
grab your
were
ankles.
right. Remember that pose was illegal. Like back in the day, the I think they called it the moon pose.
That makes sense.
Remember, like some women would like who had they had really great glutes and
Hmm.
great hamstrings and they were ripped. They would bend over, turn their butts to the audience
Yeah.
and touch their toes, and that was like they said none of that. They banned that pose.
But then they brought it back.
So right, but then when they brought it back, but the girls, I understand it more now because I
Okay.
know what
I'm
I'm
glad you're
looking at.
laughing
But
and saying it,
initially,
but
yeah,
I want to see the men
initially
do
I
it.
was,
I want to see the
yeah.
men do it.
Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
doubt. Yeah,
there's double-edged sword here.
yes, yes, totally, and it is. It's interesting. It really is. Because I even say to myself now when I sit at shows and I'm so comfortable looking at it now, because I understand it. And they've been around now for 10 years. I think 2010 is when they first introduced bikini. And when I saw that pose, I remember I was judging uh and the way the girl turned and looked and then I was just like it felt different. I
Hmm.
was just like it just felt different. So yeah.
Okay, so I would say if there was one thing, like if your life would have taken like a certain turn, let's say, I don't know, where would that turn have been to where maybe you did not go into bodybuilding? I mean,
Mhm.
was there like, have you ever seen the movie Sliding Doors? It's the coolest movie in
No.
the world. It's Sliding Doors, and it's literally about a woman who is going towards the subway. And in one episode, doors close, and she misses the subway. And then another
Mm.
encounters, she actually makes it in the subway door.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
there a moment in your life that it could have literally went in a completely different direction?
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely. For me, um, let me say, and I think this is like important conversation in regards to like most athletes that we have that ability to do something and be extreme
Mm-hmm.
or have that willpower, that strength to keep going, to be the best at something. Um, that's always been like in me. And before I competed, to me, I feel like bodybuilding it saved my life because after cheerleading in college and I didn't have that thing
Mm-hmm.
to go to. I found myself getting in trouble in a sense, kind of started drinking, but not drinking heavy then. I didn't know that I had the ability that whatever I put my hands on, like I can take it to the next level. If it's drinking, I can take it to the next level. If it's smoking marijuana, I can take it to the next level. If it's eating, I can take it to the next level. If it's weight training, I can take it to the next level. So I feel like, um, thank God, because I did have a situation where I felt lost and empty after my years in college and cheerleading and having that place. And then I had a boyfriend and I was like going down the wrong path with him, and I didn't like the way it felt because I did have that discipline in me.
Hmm.
So I knew when I was doing something out of line and it wasn't right. So I gotten, I came close to being like on that other side. And I just went to what I know, and that's working out and being in a gym. And then it just really helped to redirect me. So
See, that's
I
awesome.
feel, yeah, yeah. And I've had that happen a couple times, after I won the Olympia. I won the Olympia, and then it was like, oh, okay, like I'm retired now. Like, now what?
Right. Okay.
And th- and that's when I
I hear
realized,
you on
like,
that one.
that's when I realized, okay, then that the issues of like alcohol and other things started to come up. And so yeah, it saved my life, and I
There's
can
so
say
many
that.
things about bodybuilding and training, and I was listening to a quick little episode that you were discussing with Wendy on one of your episodes, and it's about how women, basically what Wendy was saying is like she could overhear a mom and daughter talking about, the mom goes to the daughter after she sees Wendy like, you're never gonna get that big, I never want you to look that big, but and it's
Right,
funny because I
right.
mean, God, I heard that my entire time. I was training.
Yes.
It was just like, why do you want to look like a man? I don't know. Why do
Right,
you want to be
right,
fat? You know,
right, right,
it was just
right.
one of those things. But it's like at the same time, like you said, it is it is a sport. It is something that you can actually get into and get consumed with it, and it can take you places, and it is healthy if you make it healthy, and it could be unhealthy if you go too far with it. And the same,
Absolutely.
it's just the way that sport is, and it's the way that
Just,
anything
yeah.
is, really.
I agree. Anything. I agree. I agree. I just don't get it. Like how easy it is to still beat up on women
Well, and
that choose to, like, why are we still doing that?
why are we still in this conversation?
Uh-huh.
There's other
Yeah.
conversations to be
Yeah.
had of, we could name 10 different conversations, but it's interesting how that hasn't
Mhm.
changed yet.
No, it is. It really is. And I don't know. I guess
I mean, it's
that's,
evolved. There's no doubt,
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
but it hasn't
Yeah.
gone far enough yet, to
Hmm.
where it's like, let the women be who they want to be. If you want to train your ass off and you want to get muscles, do it, because
Uh-huh.
sports, I was the same way. Sports literally changed my life. And if without
Yes.
sports, I have no idea. I would have probably been the
Yeah.
little juvenile delinquent that my mom and my
Yeah.
parents thought I was going to be, getting in trouble,
Yes.
hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was right there
Uh-huh.
with you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got to be consumed with the bodybuilding world, and it took me out of that destructive type of life. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
so many benefits to it, and people don't understand that. They just want to like quickly judge of what you look like, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I don't, like, to me, like all sports, people argue and they want to say whether it's a sport or not, bodybuilding, but, you know, it's to me, a sport, and it's an art. Because
It
when you're in
is.
the gym training, they don't see what you had to
Mm-mm.
do to get the physique that you have. They just see you on stage and think,
And it is
uh,
hysterical how Wendy explained that. She goes, when you guys were talking, she's like, and you'll never look like that. You know,
Right.
they have no idea what it takes to get
No
to
idea.
that level. I mean, that's why
No
I
idea.
I admire you so much
Mhm,
for what you have
mhm,
done in your career. And it's just,
mhm.
I know, I personally 100% know what it took for you to get there. And it's just like, I'm in just like awe of you. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
incredible. So I love that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
So,
yeah. And it was challenging every time to, watch your body. I loved my physique, but then when it started to get to where I started to get really lean in the
mm.
face, and then you take on that look of looking older and dry, it is what it is, but it was temporary, and I knew
Yeah.
that. So I just had to get past that part, through that part.
So, what would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Mhm. Oh gosh, my 18-year-old self. You know, oh man, what I would tell my 18-year-old self, and I wish I could, that my 18-year-old self could hear this, is the importance of really being present. The importance of really being present. And it's a simple phrase, and it seems kind of crazy because I remember when I first heard someone, told me, importance of being present, and I was like, well, of course I'm present here, But I think that when you're present, then your life is, you have more quality in your life, because and you don't have to work as hard. When you're present, you hear what your next step should be, what that thing is you should do, instead of acting out of anxiety or being in the future or being in the past. Because whatever happened in the past, when I was 18, like my mistakes that I made, that's done. It's over with. It's done. You learn from them and you move on. But all you have is the present. And I feel like now I really understand what it means to be present.
Hmm.
And because I understand the importance of being present, I feel like I have more years. Like I feel like I can see a difference in the way my skin looks, the way the it's the only thing that allows me to continue to do all these different things that I do. Like be in Atlanta, promote my Atlanta show, having everybody, Linda, can I do this? The stress of all of that, and then getting on the plane, coming back to Arizona, and then that's next weekend having a show in
Hmm.
Arizona, or having, because I just calm myself down. I'm more centered, but that's hard to tell someone that's
It's
18.
so hard. It's so
They don't
hard.
want to hear that.
And then when you're
Mm-mm.
present, you appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're
Yeah.
really present in the situation, you absolutely appreciate everything that's going on. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about the documentary for a moment, and people ask me how I feel and what I'm doing, and you know what I'm doing now, and I'm like, I'm enjoying every second of this. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it so much because even when I was back in the Gladiators doing the Gladiators, I was present. But like you said, when you're in the Olympia, it goes like really fast. And
It
all of a sudden I was
does.
just like, so now I'm just like, I'm enjoying it. I'm eating it up.
Hmm.
I'm in the present
Yeah.
of it, you know? So,
Yes.
so what do you do for fun?
Well, let's see. What I do? Let's see, for fun. I've been doing puzzles. I get really excited about.
Who would have thought?
I would not thought. I love doing puzzles because it just slows my mind down.
It's like a meditation.
And yes, it's great meditation. And it also teaches me, I learn to focus.
Hmm.
It helps me to resolve like simple things. It's like similar to the process that I would go through for competing. So for me, it's just really relaxing without me having to diet and do all that other stuff. It also kind of helps me control and not always like overeat and stuff like that. But I love doing puzzles. I love uh, I love watching people. I love going to like Starbucks and having a coffee and just sitting and watching people.
They're
And
interesting, aren't they?
very interesting. I love watching people,
And
their
it's,
expressions,
oh my God, if
just
I'm sure
everything.
that I've like walked into Starbucks before and I've watched people like walk me, watch me walk from the door to the
Uh-huh.
counter to the back. And I'm like, how long have you been sitting there staring at people? And I'm thinking, and I've done that
Yes.
before. And you're right. And you just kind
Uh-huh.
of like look at the different people and what they do and how
Yes.
they
Yes.
interact is really interesting, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. And it's so cool too. You know, another thing too is like I love where I'm at in my life. And when I sit and I look at people, and I remember the old like school, like when you're dieting and you're all perfect and everything in your mind, and you're like looking at everybody and look at her. I can't believe she's eating that. And but look at how much she weighs. Oh my goodness. You know, just being kind of judgmental and
How many
living
times
in this.
How many times have you been in the supermarket and people push up their cart and you look in their cart and you just go, really?
Yes. Yes. That was just living in that world and being that
Yeah.
person of perfection, and like you're so super organized, and you just I'll never eat like that again. And you know, and I think what's cool now is like really meeting people where they are and allowing people, loving on people no matter who they are, what they weigh, looking in their basket and being like, oh, that looks good. And you know, and then I'll catch myself and say, mind your own business, Linda. Mind your own business.
And
So
it's taken
yeah.
us so long to get there.
Hmm.
I mean, throughout your entire life, it's like it's so bizarre because you go through your seasons and your hills and your valleys. And
Hmm.
everybody goes, you get wiser as you get older, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And I always say, no, I just catch myself on my own shit. You know?
That's it. And that works. That's
Yes.
the best way.
So what's your
Your life
future
is
look like?
beautiful when you do that.
I know.
Pardon?
So tell me, what's your future look like? Where are you going?
Um, you know what? I think like my future is like so cool because I'm in my I heard Jane Fonda say this. I'm in my third act. I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
third act, and I'm lucky if I get a fourth act, but I'm in my third act. Um, and because I know what we just said about being present, about minding my own business, about being comfortable in my own skin, just those basic things, one day at a time. Like my next 20 years can be fabulous, you know, if I just slow myself down. So I see myself really doing well financially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm doing well financially not now. And I know that the reason that I'm doing well financially is because that thing when they say let go and let God,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, because I know how to let go and because I know I don't have to work hard, it is so exciting to see all the things coming my way. You know, you people call it miracles, and it's just like I just sit back and I wanted to do like look at this technology that we have now,
Oh,
the
I know.
podcast.
Yes.
We can be in control of instead of being in situations where we had to let what was the name of that company? Goldwyn, you know,
Mm-hmm.
producers and directors do a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
things. Now we're in control.
Yes.
We have a lot of power through social media and all of that. So I see myself having fun like you, Lori, doing my TikTok videos.
I know I watch them. I love
I haven't
them.
done any TikTok yet, but I love your TikTok.
Oh, I got it. I'm so far behind on those right now. I so have to
Yeah.
start doing those. You're just like a light, to be
Mhm,
honest with you, and you're just so amazing. And I know that so many women and men all look up to you and what you've done
mhm, mhm,
throughout your
mhm.
life.
Yeah.
And I can totally see where your future's going, and it looks amazing. I mean, it's
Mhm.
it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm a hustler. I am like constantly,
Mhm.
like, hustling and
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
But that's me and my personality. And I love that. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
But at the same
Mhm.
time, I have slowed down. I have learned to become more accepting of myself. I mean, this aging process was a real hard
Mhm.
one. You know?
Girl, yes.
Oh my God. I think the first
But
time I
you've done
saw
it
like,
well, Lori. My God, you look amazing.
oh my God, thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Healthy.
And I feel healthy,
Mhm.
and like, I mean, so real quick before we go, are you still training? I mean, how is that part of your life going? What are you doing? I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Want to hear something funny? And people are
Yeah.
just like, seriously? And I'm like, if I never trained another day in my life, I'd be fine.
Mhm. Uh-huh. Yeah. I
However,
understand.
however,
Yes.
I do enjoy what it feels like to train. It's just, I
Mhm.
think more than anything, it's the I have to train kind of feeling.
Mhm.
I just want to train
Mhm.
on my accord, my own time, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I agree. Yeah. For me, it's about my health, and I remind myself of that. So, um, it's just like it's mandatory for me. It's because of my health, my mental health,
mm-hmm,
you know. And also, I think the part of the aging process when you get a certain age, we know that the importance of weight training, the importance of exercise, it allows you to have that third act in
yes,
your 50s and your 60s
yes,
and feel great because
mm-hmm,
you're so wise, you know so much. But the bummer is when you start having to go to the doctor a lot and you're having a lot of issues, wouldn't it be nice to still like be able to be physically, not saying that we want to do what we used to do, but that we, but just you want to enjoy your life.
mm-hmm,
And I think that that is the best thing about exercise is when you know that when you don't do it, you know how you feel. Like
yes,
it's important. It's important for my physical health, my mental health, and it allows me to really enjoy
yes,
being wise,
yes.
you know. And I see women that are they can be pretty miserable, like going through menopause, going through certain things, hormonal changes, like they're not, they're miserable.
Yes, they are. They are. And I know you hear this all the time as well. It's like, "Oh my God, at your age, how do you look so amazing?" Well, I've trained, I
Mhm,
eat good, and it's such a huge part of it. Um,
mhm,
okay, so
mhm.
last question. Okay, how do I say this? Was there an event on the American Gladiators that you secretly thought, "Oh my God, I could do that and it'd be so much fun"?
Huh. Um,
Because girl, you would have made an amazing gladiator.
yeah, all this, I love I don't know, it's the joust when you're up on the platform and
Oh yeah,
and
that's
it's
the
about
joust.
balance and strength
That
in
is
my
joust.
head, because I'm not really afraid of heights and I'm really good, I feel like, as far as with balance
Hmm.
and strength, not quite, so like running and impact, oh no, anything we are running and ooh,
Seriously? Oh, I thought the
that's
opposite from you. You look like that
really.
girl. Oh yeah, you look like the girl that could just run and just bam, just tackle
Uh-huh.
someone.
But you know what? I think I probably would say that would be probably the first thing that I would say that I would be interested in. Like I would be really good at that, at tackling. Because when I think about football, I always think I would want to be a lineman,
See?
like a linebacker. I would want to be a linebacker. I'm not the quarterback. I'm not the wide receiver. I'm the linebacker. So
Okay.
that's really who I feel like I am. But I think, I had an injury with my knee way back. And when I was like 19.
Mm.
So because of that knee injury, everything was like my world. I saw things differently,
Oh,
you
I
know?
hear you. All
Yeah,
right.
that was
So,
a serious, yeah.
and I emailed you this, but if you had a gladiator name, what would it be?
If I had a gladiator name, what would it be? Oh, deep one. You know what? I think I would like, I don't know, like a chameleon or something. I don't know if it's possible to be something where I'm like good and evil, or I can change it up. So I don't
Hmm.
know. What would that name? What would be? You guys have had so many
Oh God.
names.
That one,
Oh,
I'm stumped on that one. I have no,
hmm.
okay.
Something that
Okay.
that changes, like, it's kind of like that movie, like with the with in Terminator, Predator, no, in Predator,
Yes.
where that guy, when he had the dirt on him, you couldn't see it. Well, no, but yeah,
I know what you're
something that
talking about.
changes
I
up
know
because I'm
exactly what you're
fierce,
talking
maybe
about.
fierce. Yeah, I don't know, fierce.
Linda, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. And
Mhm.
I was just so excited to sit and talk with you and kind of be that fangirl about geeking out on bodybuilding and all the fun questions and everything that I had. And
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
just going down that memory lane for me. And because there's a lot of people out there that are just coming up right now, bodybuilding, and they're just like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, where do I start? What do I do? And
Right.
you are that inspiration to so many women, that are coming up
Um,
in the ranks and everything.
yeah, yeah. I feel so lucky to still be here hanging out and being like a part of the industry. And I, just feel really blessed and just, it's awesome.
It
I'm so
is.
happy. Yeah,
I'm
it
I'm
is.
so I'm so happy for you, and what your
Uh,
future holds and everything. And by the way, I'll be seeing you this week because I'm coming on your podcast again, which is
that's
going to be a lot
right.
of fun.
Yes. And we're excited about that.
And we get
Yeah.
to talk about all kinds of gladiator
Congratulations on the
stuff.
great job. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
You've done, yeah, congratulations. I mean, like I said, I absolutely was so entertaining. Yeah, you did such an excellent job.
Thank
Hmm.
you. I appreciate that. All right, now don't go anywhere because I have at the end of my episode something called rapid fire. Okay. And they're just like really quick, fun questions, rapid fire. So, and that's for my Patreon site. So hang out there for a minute. Linda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I was just so excited to sit here with you. And thank you. Oh, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, you guys, you can find me on Instagram. It's the Ms. Olympia 8. And or just go look for Lenda Murray, Lenda Murray, Murray. And I have a line. You can find me with my supplement line on Crystal Planet Nutrition. But yeah, just Google Lenda, Lenda. It's not a lot of us spell our name, spell it
Oh, yeah, you're the
Lenda.
first person that pops up. And then your FemFlex Friday. When does that,
Yep.
when does that, is that a weekly?
Yes, it's weekly. We air every Friday, and you can find us on YouTube on Olympia TV.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Thank you so much. You guys got to check
Yes.
out Linda's channel and all of her social media posts. And Linda, thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcasts. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.